Well, good evening. Welcome to the October 16th, 2023 Village Council regular meeting. Judy, would you like to call the roll, please?
Yes, Stokes.
I'm here.
Hausch.
Here.
McQueen. Here. DeVore Leonard.
Here.
Thank you. We are expecting Carmen Brown any moment. Also present are Solicitor Amy Blankenship and Interim Village Manager Johnny Burns.
All right. Well, thank you, Judy, for that. And it looks like we're going to begin with a swearing.
Paige wanted to be announced.
I'm sorry. I thought you had left the room.
I think you were not in the room when Judy started speaking. Perhaps.
You sidled in like that, like you do.
That's stealthy. It's good to have a stealthy chief of police. Yeah. All righty. As I was saying, looks like we're going to have a swearing in, and we have Alex Klug for Environmental Commission. So, Alex, would you like to come up, please? But if you want to stand there, and you sure, right here. We're here for you. Thank you. All right, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I solemnly swear or affirm.
I solemnly swear or affirm
That's fine. That I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and will obey the laws of the United States
and will obey the laws of the United States
and of the state of Ohio.
and of the state of Ohio,
That I will, in all respects,
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the Charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the Village of Yellow Springs,
of the Village of Yellow Springs,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of,
the duties of the office of an Environmental Commission.
indeed, very good job.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the family. Wear that at all times.
I will. Thank you all so much. Can I leave this?
Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you.
So she's got to sign them. I'll sign it. All righty. All right, now it's time for announcements. Do we have announcements? And I do know someone has some.
I've always got a few.
Sure, appreciate that.
So I guess, Mark, why don't you come up first? I got to say, I had a great time at Street Fair on Saturday. And Mark, why don't you tell us how you felt about it?
It was a great day. I think a lot of people finding it pouring in Xenia and Columbus lost out on the great weather we had here in Yellow Springs. It was a very enjoyable event. I can report that the fire department had no street fair related calls, which was good. Marianne, I think those 4 booths worked out magnificently.
That's great.
That really did well.
Yeah, I really would like to thank the Chamber. The Environmental Commission had 4 booths, and we had information from local food to native habitat, natural burial, and everything in between. It's great, and a lot of interest, too.
It was magnificent. I was discussing with Brian beforehand, one of the things that all of you know, one of the soapboxes Brian had was having refillable beer cups, and we were finally able to negotiate that with the brewery. And Marianne, the idea that came out of the meeting that we had with you and Riley of having the recycling bin right there as people were exiting and pointing it out there, we had quite a few people taking the cups with them, but they were using that recycling bin, so those recyclable cups, the ones that they didn't want, were being recycled. One of the things that was just complete irony was today, when Alex went to pick up the mail at the station, we found that we had gotten second place as the best festival in the Dayton area, and from the Best of Dayton. We didn't even know that we had been nominated. And so we didn't do any promotion of the vote as many groups do, and so we were absolutely flabbergasted by that. And that's a testament to, and I made the statement earlier at the township trustee meeting, it's a testament to the township, it's a testament to the village. Johnny and Chief Burge, your crew is absolutely amazing. If any of our sister villages in the area are listening, I really do appreciate Cedarville and Jamestown sending officers to assist us. It was just an absolutely amazing event. So thank you very much. I appreciate the support of the village. And again, I can't say enough about our crews and our people. And I haven't heard any negatives yet. So I'm sure somebody will say something. But thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I mean, I've got to say I was super happy and love hearing that we're refilling those cups. And yeah, thank you for all the great work. Thanks for our team. Yeah, it was interesting. I guess this felt like the first year where we really were strategic around like getting everything like ready to go, like set up. And so, Johnny, thanks for your leadership on that. And Chief Burge, yeah, I know you're continuing to make sure that we're safe. Okay, so I've got a few things. I wanted to mention, I had a great interaction with our folks downstairs related to, just kind of the, I guess that's Corey and Elise and, the team that is like helping to make sure that, we're dealing with utilities in an effective way. I continue to get like something in the mail, and so we like figured out like how to make sure that I'm not wasting paper, and so that was really fun to interact with those guys. I also actually I'm going to have Paige come up for this one. I wanted to share with council that Marianne and I had a great check-in with Johnny, keeping up with our like monthly check-ins. Really kind of thinking about like our top 4 priorities: infrastructure, economic development, housing, and broadband. And Johnny, we know that next check-in is going to be to make sure that we're keeping you happy. So we're going to be talking about that next time. I think this will be like coming up later, but I wanted to elevate the beloved community group and the fact that free lunches are coming back. Going to be really great, and I appreciate Kate and other people's efforts around that. And yeah, the last thing is it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm wearing my pink, and I want to like really highlight how important those efforts are. But Paige, I thought since you're here, if maybe you could talk about Touch a Truck and Trunk or Treats, because I think we have opportunities for people to like help support that. So, if I'm correct, but you let me know.
Sure. So this Saturday, the 21st, at Yellow Springs High School, we are having our Touch a Truck and Trunk or Treat event. So first time we've ever combined the two, first time we've ever had a trunk or treat. For those who aren't familiar, we open our trunks, fill it with candy, and kids come by and get candy. All the years of telling them not to take it from strangers was wasted. We decided to combine these two events because August was always so brutally hot on the blacktop for all the first responders and service workers coming out with their trucks. So a little cooler, also on a Saturday, kind of opens up some availability for families to come out and see us. I'm not sure about volunteer events or anything like that. I'm sorry. Was there something specific?
Well, I thought I heard that we're welcoming like people to support the trunk or treat piece, or is that
no?
Okay.
I'm
All
sorry.
right.
No, that's not. We were inviting other agencies, so we've done that. We've invited all of our local agencies
Okay.
here in Greene County. I believe we might even have some kind of unique cars coming, but I won't spoil that. And maybe a Batmobile of some kind or something. But all of the usuals, all the first responder vehicles, service vehicles from Johnny's crew, and of course your service people to accompany them. So come see us and get some candy. It'll be fun.
All right.
Great.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. And we've got a couple of special guests here that came to make announcements. I'll call on Beth Rubin first.
Hi, thanks for allowing me to speak to you tonight. I'm Beth Rubin with Greene County Citizens for Children's Services. Children's Services is part of the County Department of Job and Family Services, which covers a wide variety of programs, including public assistance, adult protective services, child support, workforce development, and protective children services. 1 in 4 Ohioans is connected in some fashion with Job and Family Services when they're looking for a new job, navigating nursing home care for a loved one, or calling about a vulnerable neighbor. The agency's work impacts families, businesses, the local economy, and the community as a whole. But tonight I'm here to provide information specifically about Children's Services and local levy issue 20. Issue 20 is a renewal, so there are no new taxes and no increase. Children's Services is designated by law to provide for the care, protection, and placement of abused, neglected, and dependent children in Greene County. They work to protect children from abuse and neglect through safety assessments as well as foster care, adoption, kinship care, and independent living programs. In 2022, the agency processed close to 3,000 referrals and completed nearly 600 investigations of abuse and neglect. They served over 1,000 children in Greene County through prevention, protection, placement, and permanency programs. 139 children received placement services and 45 were reunified subsequent to placement. Another 17 children were placed in the custody of other family members subsequent to placement, and a total of 17 adoptions were completed in Greene County. Currently, over 140 cases are open. 68 children are in the agency's custody, with 30 of those children in the permanent custody of the agency. 4 are in adoptive placements awaiting finalization, and 16 are currently available for adoption. While Job and Family Services relies on state and federal funds to run the majority of its programs, the Children's Services division is different. Local levy funds make up about half of the program's budget, and in addition, those local levy dollars are needed in order to access state and federal dollars through reimbursements and matching funds. So Greene County Children's Services is seeking a renewal of an existing 1.5 mil levy for 10 years, and it's issue 20. Again, this renewal will not increase taxes, and the sole purpose of the levy is to support Children's Services. The funds are spent solely on the protection of children in Greene County. A homeowner whose house is valued at $100,000 will pay a total of $45 per year, which is less than $1 a week in support of the Children's Services levy. And child abuse and neglect affects everyone in the community. And I thank you for your time and attention. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rubin.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. And also,
Thank you.
also Delana Zapata.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak as well. Beth and I, and there's a third issue on the ballot as well, issue 18. 18, 19, and 20 are usually kind of grouped together. That's Council on Aging is 18. Greene County Board of Developmental Disabilities is issue 19, and it is a 3.5 mil renewal of a levy that was originally passed in 2004. So this renewal will not increase taxes, and it'll be the 4th renewal of that original levy, meaning at its conclusion in 2029, the board will have operated for 25 years without any increase in taxes. This levy allows the board to support services for children and adults who have developmental disabilities. The Greene County DD provides early intervention for children from birth to age 3, as well as funding and supports for vocational services, job placement, adult day services, transportation, respite, residential services, summer programming, housing assistance, just to list a few of them. These and other services are provided directly through Four Oaks Early Intervention, Homecroft, service and support administrators, local certified providers, and currently there are over 250 direct support professionals working in the Greene County area, as well as partnerships with many community organizations. Since 2004, Greene County DD has seen an increase of over 620 individuals, or a 78% increase, to a record high for us for 1,423 uniquely served individuals just last year in 2022 alone. This represents approximately a 4.3% growth annually over the 18-year span of this levy to date. So it's significant to note that the board has managed this increase with enrollment without asking for additional tax dollars. One aspect that hasn't changed is the support of the citizens of Greene County. If successful, This renewal would mean that the homeowners would pay the same amount in property taxes for this levy as they did 20 years ago, regardless of those tax assessments that recently went out that everybody's a little nervous about. This is no additional funding for this levy or for the Children's Services or for the Council on Aging. That increase in assessment will not affect any of those levies. So according to the county auditor, for every $100,000 of appraised value, the homeowner would pay $94 a year. So the board has demonstrated to be very good stewards of taxpayers' money and providing an environment of excellence with their programs and their services and maintaining the health and safety of those who have developmental disabilities, as well as helping them live dignified and successful lives. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Any questions? All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any more before I wrap up? I've got a couple I'm going to close out with. Anyone else? All right. Most of mine are voting related. So first of all, there will be a candidates night on Wednesday, October 18th. That's this Wednesday at 7 o'clock. That will be for school board candidates. Again, Wednesday night at Mills Lawn, 7 o'clock. This Wednesday, 7 o'clock for school board candidates. And then this Thursday, there will be a candidates night for village council and the township fiscal officer. And that'll be Thursday evening, the 19th of this month at 7 p.m. at Mills Lawn. And just want to, excuse me, just want to emphasize, and if there were any questions, that there are 3 council seats available. And just want to emphasize that is the way it is.
And that was a mistake in the League of Women Voters guide.
Well, and the League of Women Voters got their information from Greene County Board of Elections. So Judy was very instrumental in getting with them and ensuring that the information was correct. I think you had to send charter-related information and whatnot.
Yeah, and Kevin caught it about 5 seconds after early voting opened, so thank you for that.
Sure. So it takes a team, takes a village, indeed. So again, Wednesday and Thursday, candidates nights. And I'll skip ahead to a non-voting related thing, but we will be having a second, council and staff will have a second budget session on Friday, the 20th of this month from 12 to 2 p.m. We had our first meeting last Thursday, got a lot done. We anticipate only needing to meet this second time before we have most everything tied up with the budget. So the other thing about voting is, I mean, there's this great piece of information that advocates some particular issues was in the newspaper last week. And as our guests emphasized, there are lots of very important ballot initiatives. Most of them are renewal levies, but there are a lot of other things on the ballot. I would encourage you to become informed, become educated. Excuse me. Personally, I will submit that I would probably vote yes for everything. Yes, I said it. And just a bit of information regarding the voting times. The insert in the newspaper talked about all the early voting hours. Just want to encourage people to take a look at that. One thing in particular, if you want an absentee ballot, your application for an absentee ballot needs to be at the Board of Elections before October 31st. And then once you get that absentee ballot, it needs to be completed and postmarked no later than November 6th. Okay? So I don't want to go into a lot of details. The information is available. I don't know, Johnny and Ben, if we could just maybe provide some link that either goes to this information or goes to the Board of Elections that covers all this, because the hours of early voting vary over time as we get closer to Election Day. So just want everyone to be informed and aware of that. Alrighty. We've been chock full of announcements up to this point, but now I think we're going to move on, unless there's anything else on announcements. Thank you again, ladies, for coming.
Very much.
Yes. All righty. So now to the consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda, the first of which is the minutes of our October 2nd regular session meeting. Can I get
And
a-
I will just say, I corrected it because it was October 3rd. I had it wrong everywhere, but it is right currently.
Yep, it was 2 weeks ago. Yep, so, regular meeting minutes from our last regular meeting on October 2nd. Can I get a motion?
I move.
Second.
All right, all in favor of approving those minutes? We don't have to do a roll call.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, we're doing the ayes. We're done.
You're
Yep.
good.
And aye for me, and I think I heard at least 3, so that was approved. The second item are the minutes from our October 2nd special session for budget that I alluded to earlier. Can I get a motion?
I move.
Second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And our last item for the consent agenda is the credit card statement. The information is in our packet. And so can I get a motion?
I move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And thank you very much. So the consent agenda has passed. Now we're reviewing the agenda. Are there items on the agenda that need to be modified? Anything needs to be added to the agenda? And I will, I'll pause on that comment. I was going to talk about our council initiatives policy, but that would be in the petitions and communications. But what that does talk about is the process that we should go through before introducing items, new items to the agenda. So, any updates regarding the review of the agenda? I'm so used to looking to my left. There's no council people over here. All right, good enough. So we will move forward with the agenda as is. And at this point, I'm going to ask Councilperson McQueen if you wouldn't mind reading the petitions and communications.
Yeah. There were 2 communications regarding former Council President Hausch, one from Laura Curliss, one from John Hempfling. The mayor had her monthly report with statistics and summary. Kate Anderson had a communication about the beloved community meals, which are the 3rd Saturday of every month now. They're free. And that 3rd Saturday for this month is this coming Saturday, the 21st. So people can go to the Presbyterian Church, free meal, free community meal. They also have some, I think, food that people can take home as well. So there were 2 communications from Greene County regarding the renewal levies that the former speakers talked about. And then, Kevin, as you noted, you included the council initiative policy for how we bring forward things that are projects, programs, whatever, that we would like to have council consider.
All right. Thank you, Mary Ann. I appreciate that. Excuse me. All right, now we're on to public hearings and legislation, first of which is a ordinance number 2023-35. Judy, if you wouldn't mind reading that by title only.
Absolutely. This is amending sections 881.02, 881.03, 881.05, 881.18, and 881.27 within Chapter 881, Earned Income Tax Regulations, effective beginning January 1, 2016, of the codified ordinances of the Village of Yellow Springs.
I trust that was title only. All right, and can I get a motion?
I move.
Second.
All right. Amy.
There's no other Amy back here. So this is, it looks like a lot. It is not. It's some updates to our income tax code that date back to, you might remember in 2016, the state sort of took the field on all things municipal income tax and required all municipalities that levy an income tax to change their code to conform to the state, to what the General Assembly had drafted as Chapter 718 of the Ohio Revised Code. They've tweaked that a little bit now in House Bill 33, the budget bill back in July. There's some additional changes that needed to happen to our income tax code as a result of those recent updates. They're pretty straightforward. I gave you bullet points in your memo. Happy to discuss any of them with you. Basically, anyone under 18 is now exempt from income tax. Our code had previously said 16 and under, and now it's 18 and under. There's a change for businesses for the apportionment of net profit for employers that work remote. It now gives employers the ability to choose one location for net profit and not try to calculate it for wherever remote workers might live or might be working. There's some details about extensions for filings, and that you can't contact a taxpayer while they're on extension, and there's a penalty in there if we do contact a taxpayer while they're on extension. It capped our late filing penalty and changed the language about our opt-in section is changing a little bit for employers that want to opt into the Ohio Business Gateway, which is the online platform that was created for a company to be able, if they have locations in several different municipalities, to only file once through the gateway for their net profit taxes and not have to do it in every single municipality where they operate. So it looks like a lot because it's like 60-some pages long, but that's just because we have to include the entire sections of any section that we're revising. And we lobbed off a whole section that talked about that opt-in and streamlined the language. So you'll see several pages of language that was deleted in order to streamline that section. So that's it in a nutshell. Happy to discuss it any further.
Marianne, go.
Are the new regulations going to make it harder for us to get income tax from people who are delaying their filing or not filing?
Nothing about the changes that we're making now have anything to do with an individual's return. This is all, the changes that we're making about the apportionment, the alternative apportionment and all that, that all has to do with net profit filings, which is the employer's filings. Amy Kay and I were talking just before this meeting, and she told me that she has recently gotten a contractor list from Rita and is working through that now, and we'll be talking to Rita about that to get some more information. But you know, nothing that you're doing right now has anything to do with anyone's personal filings.
Brian?
Yeah, so I know we get very little in terms of net profit tax. From what I understand, it's like $20,000 a year, which seems ridiculous to me that you know, we don't recognize more. But I guess like a counter question is, does this give folks more opportunities to not submit that tax to Yellow Springs?
I don't know that it will so much. I mean, that alternative, like adding that alternative apportionment where they could choose to use a different location for their filing of their net profit could affect us. I have no concept of how much. Amy Kemper might know more, but I would not think it would have a huge impact.
Okay.
That one additional apportionment ability.
Okay. But I think it is important to elevate, like, I was really surprised to hear that, you know, net profit is like $20,000 a year for us, which, I don't know, maybe nobody's making any money, but I was surprised when I learned that, so. Okay.
And maybe this is a different way of, sideways way of asking the same question Brian had. So with respect to two things, the remote filings or the remote locations that employers have to identify, is there any guidance in terms of what locale they decide upon, and is it typically where the home office is located?
So that's what, this is now going to give them that option, only for net profit, right? Remember, the change that we're making right now only has to do with them, an employer choosing, a business choosing where they file their net profit. In terms of withholding for employees that work remote, nothing we do tonight has anything to do with that. That law is still the same as it's been. It was changed a little bit. There were some rules that were suspended during COVID for companies to ignore that requirement to withhold in different communities when people are working from home. But all those laws are now back in place. So those things are not changing with any of this. This only affects a business and their net profit filing.
Okay, so the two questions that are probably related, the dealing with remote employees as well as having multiple locations and then choosing the best place to file as the location of the business.
This makes it easier for businesses to do that, yes, to choose
Okay.
where they want to file their net profit tax.
Okay, all right.
And one other, like, quick thing, so, insurance workers.
20-day rule, right?
Okay, so is this related to that, or?
Nothing is changing with regard
Okay,
to that. Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
And
Anything
it
else?
looked like, I don't know, does Gavin have something? He kind of leaned in, all right.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. All right, if there's no other discussion, Judy, I'll ask you to, well, this is the first reading, but why don't we go ahead and just call the roll?
Sure. McQueen.
Yes.
Hausch.
Yes?
Brown.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Next, we have reading of Resolution 2023-69. Judy, if you could read that by title only?
All right, this is approving a sponsorship and grant policy for the Village of Yellow Springs.
All right, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, is this Johnny or Amy?
Oh, I can get you a little ways into it, and then Amy Blankenship can go into the weeds if you would like to go into the weeds. This is basically setting an internal policy related to how and in what manner are all event requests looked at. So it sets it out with the same kinds of questions that get asked of for each event, the same, we hope to move to a point where all of those things are, or as many as possible, are considered in one meeting by a core group of folks, so that it is more equitable, because it tends to be that those who arrive at the table first get most on their plate, and the later requests tend to get less on their plate, simply because funds tend to run short. So this is an attempt to sort of level those things out, and also level out how is the village looking at each request equitably.
Amy, do you mind stepping up?
So this is nothing new. This has been in your packet before for conversation and discussion, and then it went off to have further meetings with stakeholders in the community. Some of the changes that are in there from the last time it was in the packet was before it created a funding committee, I can't remember what we called it, something like that, funding committee, that's now finance committee, would be the entity that would look at the bigger requests before they would come in front of council. And there's a dollar amount in here now for the size of the request, how big the ask would be to trigger that finance committee review. So $3,000 or less will be reviewed by the finance director and then brought to council.
So regarding the finance committee, so we have a standing finance committee now, right? That's made up of staff and council? But are we going to go to staff only, if I read the policy right?
For the big asks, they will go to finance committee to be vetted before they come here.
But the formation of the committee, is it staff only?
No, this is your finance committee.
Okay.
We're talking about using the standing finance committee as it exists.
I don't think that's correct. Because the way the policy reads is this finance committee is, does not include elected, so
Then that's an
we
error on
might
my-
want to.
Yeah, that's an error on my part for us.
We might want to call it something different. I don't know.
Well, and I think the intent was to take it to finance committee. If that line is still in here and hasn't been redlined, then that's my fault, because there is a section that was to be redlined, but we changed it to finance committee, which we can do now. Council hasn't passed the resolution, so we can.
Maybe we
strike
just
that.
call it events finance, I mean, just
We
like
can
add.
just strike,
Yeah.
section 3C2. Judy?
3C. There's a section at the end. 3C2.
But it's not the same group, and that's purposeful, right?
Well, no, I was under the impression that it was, now I
Yeah.
wasn't at the meetings where those discussions were made, but the way it was conveyed to me was that it was to be the actual finance committee. as you.
That was my understanding as well.
Really?
Right, that was my understanding. I'm not part of that committee, but I thought it was the same committee, which is why
No,
when I
so
read
the,
staff only, I didn't think.
yeah, so the idea was that we wanted to take it out of the political realm and, have a staff group review that. So, yeah, so I mean,
Okay.
that was always what the policy was about, was that, staff was going to review it, bring it to council. It's not the finance committee that Gavin and I are a part of.
Amy Kemper just texted in that her understanding is that it's the finance committee. That was always her understanding.
She also
Oh,
said
really?
no other committee, it's $50,000.
It's a what?
She said no other committees, it's $50K on dollars.
The 3,000 should be 50?
No.
That'd be right.
No.
The total
that's not
amount
what she means.
Oh, the
Was she
total
maybe
amount
talking
set
to-
aside,
The total amount set aside is $50,000 for the budget.
So, yeah, so this is, you're correct, right? In the way that it was originally drafted, when it first came to council, it was going to be a separate entity, a different group of people.
Right.
Then it came back that to me at least, that it was going to be finance committee. So we can do, you have lots of options open to you here. We can,
So does the existing finance committee not do the elected members of the existing finance committee not want to be involved with?
I mean, I'd like to hear like Gavin's perspective, but I thought the idea was that we were going to have staff review, and then like council would get a slate and, again, like try to make it like not a political thing. So,
Gavin, as a member of the current finance committee, do you want to weigh in?
Sure. I guess to answer your question directly, Kevin, I don't have a problem with, like you asked to do the elected members, I don't have a problem with being part of this, but I don't recall being part of the conversations of the back and forth of what the intent was. I think there were other people involved in this conversation, so I don't have a strong feeling about it. Honestly, my main concern throughout this has just been that there's healthy engagement with the stakeholders that do these primary events, and as long as that feels like it's on the right track still, then I'm okay with either way, and then we'll keep an eye on it and tweak it as we go.
yeah, and I'll also emphasize, I don't care. But again, the original intention was that this was going to be like staff reviewed, so.
Well, some of that may have gotten a little confused, because one thing that Johnny had made clear is that there's a greater degree of staff control over putting pieces of paper together and making sure they are fully vetted before they go to that committee. So that shifted a bit, so that now everything tracks through Samantha Stewart, who tracks it to anyone it needs to go to, who gets it back and together, and then hands it off to Amy Kemper, so that when Amy gets something, it's a complete, all information present. Then it can go one direction if it's under $3,000, the other direction if it's over $3,000. That was also a shift in processes, so that may have muddied the waters a bit.
Well, I would prefer that it be the current finance committee that has council representation, because council is the link to the community, and I think that's important.
Right. And Brian, to your concern about, the political, or the appearance of political movement happening with just two council persons, I mean, there's not a representation of council. So I think just having folks with the skill set, which is what I'm looking at, yourself and Gavin at this juncture, being able to weigh in on those things, and it's not a council issue until it comes to council. So, Amy, were you proposing, well, are we okay with the body remaining as it is, and we just need to do some
redlining,
Yep.
we're going to do it right here at the table. If we're here.
Well, we need to change, because it like literally says
Yeah, we're going to strike.
no
that.
electeds
We're going to
are
strike
part
that
of that.
section, which should have already been stricken. So we're going to redline that. Gavin, what was that?
Well, I was just gonna ask, so where it says in that, the section we're all looking at, I think 3C2, where it says the finance committee consists of employees that are appointed by the finance director, but we're not, obviously taking the elected officials part. So is like the formation of the finance committee, like formally, like, what is the makeup formally? Like how many staff are part of it? Or I know that there's 2 village council members, but is this like in writing somewhere? Or
Yes,
does it need to be?
it is, and it's reviewed annually. It's in the, I think it's codified, actually. You added finance committee to a section of code. I'd have to look at it to remember, but it's there, and it says, here's who makes up the finance committee.
Okay, so it's purposeful, like right now it's typically Brian and I, Judy, you, now Johnny, and Amy. So like right now so like, is there like voting? I guess the question is like, what happens if does everybody there have a vote?
See, I think that could be fleshed out at the finance committee, and you could say, we're recommending to you 3 people were for it and 2 people were for against it, but here, council, figure the rest out. I mean, I don't know that it's got to be absolutely set in stone when you pass it on, if you had something that was creating some conflict.
So all of this has been policy, programs, and guidelines, I guess, section Roman numeral 4, number 3C. But under D,
So just if track back for just 1 second, if you are, let's finish with that piece. So if you take out the first sentence.
Yes, take out the
rest
first
is-
sentence and change the panel to the finance committee.
Yep.
And then strike that number 1, too, that subsection 1 of Roman numeral 4, subsection 3C1, right above where you were. Strike that, section 1.
I'm lost. Where are you?
it's just, I mean,
Right where you
you were
were.
talking about editing number 2. She's saying get rid
No,
of number 1.
3. Oh, 2, get rid of.
all that.
Yeah, there's 3, then there's A, B, C.
Okay.
Because we're giving Amy K,
Yep.
yeah, and we're giving Amy K the ability to do the initial review of the smaller applications. Right? That was still the
Got it.
intent?
Yep,
of-
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And then Judy, also in definitions.
Yep.
Strike C.
Yep.
And then it's exactly what we're discussing here tonight. Applications will come into the village. If they're a small enough amount, the finance director or her designee will do the review. If it's a bigger amount, finance committee will do the review. All of those recommendations, whether it come from finance director or finance committee, will come to council. And then you'll have the final say on how the money gets apportioned.
Okay. So that point that you just made about things coming to the village, item D, just below where we were in C, number 1 says applicants must submit the applications to the village finance director. Now, with respect to commission requests, we have routinely, in fact, the document, I think at one point said, the form comes to the clerk.
And really, it's okay, because I send things to Sam sends things to Amy, like, we all just know where things are supposed to go, so nobody even knows that they did a thing the wrong direction. I mean, we just make sure, I log it, send it to Sam, Sam makes sure it gets it all the places it needs to go, and Amy seems to know everything all the time anyway, so it's strange, but she does.
But we could widen that language if you want. If you want to make it broader, it can. It could be applicants must submit to the finance director or clerk, however you.
I think that does cover the concern with the commission form, which, until it gets changed, says clerk.
we could just say to the village. I mean, it's not that we have so many of them that that we'll have a million people out there going, but who? It's really just at boards and commissions and then our kind of regular stakeholders. So as long as it says the village, we're going to make sure it gets to the right place, and most of those folks know where they are turning it in.
Okay.
Or it says it specifically on the separate form that they're getting.
Okay. Florence, you were,
I was asking a question.
sure, if I don't mind you coming up, but please come to the mic.
I was just asking the question, does an application go to Samantha Stewart first to get all the I's dotted and the information, and then the packet goes to the clerk or the finance director? Is not the way
Not
it
necessarily.
happens?
I mean, if I get it, then I can get my tally going, and it is to Sam's desk within about 15 minutes of that. I'm not sitting on them.
You'll log it.
Yeah.
Sure, Mark.
Just one nit to pick. Under 6A, the last word, should that be village instead of city?
I'm going to say yes without even looking at it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You
Yep,
primary-
got it.
Yep. Oh, Gavin, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry, it's always weird to know when to cut anything. Just a question around, so in section 2, just one section above, it talks about the relevant deadline, and then like, as we're going over like the process of applications, I guess I just want to be clear, so if we're like passing this resolution without having a deadline currently and without, I guess I wonder if there's some expectation of turnaround from when an application is received to when, so I'm just wondering, I'm just imagining if you're a person who runs events, do you hear us passing this resolution, and then what's the guidance that we're giving of like when does this sort of kick in, or when will we decide on the relevant deadline?
So if I'm understanding you, there's sort of two different things you could be asking. One is the section 2 that it goes into effect for all requests made for 2025. So if you make a request on January 2nd of 2024, we're going to follow this policy. But what isn't here, and we haven't completely figured out, is whether that committee is meeting every 3 months and taking them as they come in, or how that's going, or whether there's going to be a communication to the major event folks to say, hey, we've got to have everything from you by this date because you're asking for big chunks of money. So that has not been finalized, but should be by that time. It's one of the reasons that we sort of moved it to start for events that are being requested for next year.
So just so I'm clear, it's okay that we're passing a resolution, but still have some other pieces that need some clarification, and then we can communicate those at a future meeting without needing to revisit this?
Well, I would say so because this simply isn't covering that aspect. So if we can figure out something that covers that aspect, we can bring it back before council, check in with stakeholders, and then get that communication out.
And Gavin, at one point, you saw a version of this document a couple iterations ago that said all applications are due annually by March 31st or something. It had a date, a hard date in it. And that fell off during conversations about how to roll it out and how, what year it was rolling out and all that. So there's nothing in here that would need to be changed in order to say, in 2025, have your applications in by March, whatever. Does that answer your question?
So I will entertain a motion for the modified resolution.
All right, well, before we vote on that, all right, so I do think, we've talked about trying to establish a date, and I think that we need to continue to talk about that. The other two things that are related, one is the idea around like what language we're asking our event organizers to share with their vendors. So that doesn't mean we can't vote on this tonight, but I don't want that to get lost in the shuffle. I provided a draft several meetings ago that highlights RETA expectations as well as our like permit expectations. So I don't want that to fall through the cracks. And then the other thing that we still need to figure out is what are the costs of these events so that our event organizers know what to ask for. So those two things are still out in the wings. So anyway, I just want to make sure that that doesn't get lost in the shuffle. So.
Any other further discussion? Brian, you said that doesn't mean we can't vote on the resolution with the modifications, but you feel comfortable that the language, the outgoing language could still be addressed?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just needs to be integrated with the overall like package around events. So, but we've kind of continued to like push that off, and so I don't want that to be forgotten.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but I think this policy is important to like get out there. So.
Okay. Good. All right.
So you asked for a motion to approve
To
the
approve
modified?
the modified. I did ask for that motion.
So moved.
Okay, second.
Okay. All in favor of approving the motion, the resolution with the above stated?
So you're just going to call a motion to approve the amended language and then?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So I am asking for a motion to simply approve the amended language. And if that was understood.
That's what it was,
Yeah,
that's what I
Carmen
understood.
understood what I didn't say. And Mary Ann seconded that motion. So now.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, now we have an updated resolution. Can I get a motion to approve that?
And you have that. Got
We have it,
same
so
two
all in
folks?
favor, thank you very much, and it's been moved and seconded. So all in favor of the modified resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. Thank you very much for all of your input. All right. All right, moving on to Resolution 2023-70. Judy, if you could read that by title only.
Yes, this is granting a stipend to Superintendent of Water and Electric, Ben Sparks.
Okay, can I get a motion?
I move.
Second?
All right.
I can go ahead.
Okay.
So when council talked with me about taking the interim position for a while, we had mentioned that some of my duties would need to also fall off in order to be able to take on a larger role. And Ben has stepped up and he is willing to take on the duties assigned, and this is a way to make sure that he's compensated for the extra time and work.
Okay, great, thank you. Any discussion? All right.
Well, I don't know. Ben, do you want to say anything?
Thank you.
All right.
A wise man indeed.
There you go.
All right, so we've had the motion and the second. We've had a brief discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing no opposition, that resolution has passed. Moving on to resolution number 2023-71. Judy, if you could read it by title only.
This is granting a stipend to Finance Director Amy Kemper.
Can I get a motion?
I move.
Second?
And
Again, same thing with Amy Kemper. She has stepped up and taken the lead on a couple of major items for us, one being budget. After we got all the stuff done, she stepped up. She's also helping fill in some other gaps. So this is well-deserved as well.
Okay, great. I'm sure if Emily were here, she'd say thank you also.
She probably does.
Any other discussion?
Well,
Oh, yes.
I know I missed it on the last one, but just want to say thanks to Ben and to Amy both for stepping up and helping make this transition work. So we really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. I'm sure that's message is received. All right.
She did say. She said thank you.
She did, she literally said thank you.
Kevin,
Okay, yes.
I have a question for Johnny.
Okay.
I didn't realize that Ben was superintendent of water and electric.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you just go over the staffing for us?
So Ben took over water and electric superintendent position when I was promoted to Public Works. So Ben is over top of all the linemen, all the electric work. He is over top of the water distribution side. He also does all of the meter reading and the GIS-ing. Half of the building maintenance, he's in control of all the maintenance of the vehicles on his side as well. So he's got a big plate to fill. He also has been doing, one of the big things is he's picked up is all the aid to construction work and making sure that all the engineering and things are done. He figures out how to get the power to different places, working with the other engineers that we have on staff. And then he's been a big part also with the Tantalus upgrade system for the AMI.
And then the sewage treatment is,
Wastewater and water treatment is Brad Hall.
okay,
So Ben is on the distribution side.
okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on this resolution? All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the resolution passes. Citizen concerns. If anyone's present physically or virtually that wants to share on a topic that is not currently covered on the agenda, you'll be allowed 3 minutes per topic to share your thoughts and concerns. Do we have any citizen concerns? All right, hearing none, we are moving on. We have a couple of special reports. The first one being a power portfolio review, and we have John Courtney as a guest to come present to us.
Well, hello again. It's been a while since we've been here. I've got my associate Scott Wigging here with me again tonight, so hopefully Judy's going to find our slides.
Well,
Excuse me. I apologize. I think I'm getting this first round of the winter what's the stuffy throat, so.
Don't say winter yet.
Yeah, well, that's true. Fall, I guess.
come on. Now, any just comments you have to make, you just go right ahead and have just a
I was gonna say,
little.
maybe just a little bit of background. Johnny
thing here.
Johnny had asked us to update council kind of on your power supply portfolio. I know you guys have been having some discussions as well about renewable energy credits, and you'll see at the end of the presentation, we'll talk a little bit about your renewable energy credits as they apply to your power supply portfolio. So I think I see slides, or half the slides.
Ben?
You move him out of the way. You can't get him out of the way. You guys him over there.
See, it's stepping in front of him.
It's glad to know that I'm not the only one that has technical problems, though.
John?
Yeah.
While we're waiting.
Sure.
Was there a peak demand day for 2023?
Yes.
I missed it.
Well, it's not in the slides. These slides actually, and maybe I can
No,
fill
I mean,
that in before we start.
I wasn't aware of
Were provided to us, most of which came from AMP, from your power supply agent. And so we kind of, leaned on them for, the basis of most of the slides. I don't remember, Scott, do you remember the date for, are you talking about
It was
transmission?
July, it was in July.
Yeah, I just didn't know that it happened.
Well, we have different peaks. We have a transmission peak, which is when the AES, or I still call Dayton Power and Light's transmission system peak occurs, and then there's 5 other peaks that we deal with on the PJM transmission grid that are all at different times. But I believe your peak here was in July, like most of the regions.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, we heard about it like the day before, because I remembered like somebody like asked about it, and we did put it on Facebook, but yeah, it was pretty last minute.
They were a little hard to chase this year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, well, I see a slide up. Let's go to the next one, Judy. And maybe we can go on right to the next one. Basically, I want to start off talking a little bit about your power supply requirements. And again, these graphs, I want to give credit to AMP for sharing with us and allowing us to use a lot of these charts or slides that you see in here. So it's a little hard, obviously, to read, but this gives you kind of a feel for what the peak load, which is shown in blue for the village for the last several decades, as well as your annual energy requirement. Fortunately, on the next slide, though, I think we got some numbers that you can maybe actually see. On an annual basis, this is what your monthly energy usage or energy requirement looks like. But on an annual basis, on average, the village uses roughly 37 million kilowatt hours a year. And that's been pretty consistent, as you can see, the last several years. This year, actually a little bit below that. We had a pretty mild winter and a pretty mild spring. And so, obviously, the overall usage is down a little bit right now. So on the next slide, with regard to your peak load, as we were just talking about, you can see what it's been for the last 4 years, roughly in the 8,000 kW range, which is what's shown there on the slide, or what we call 8 megawatts. 1,000 kilowatts basically being 1 megawatt. So on the next slide, I guess we can go right on. I've got, again, we're going to talk a little bit about all your power supply resources. I thought we'd start off with this pie graph, which really gives you kind of a breakdown. And again, I apologize for the size of the numbers, but the slide came from AMP. I'm going to start up at the kind of noon to 2 o'clock area on the graph and work my way counterclockwise. So up in the upper right-hand side, you get about 17% of your energy from the Energy County landfill project. And I've got slides where we'll go through and talk about each of these resources in more detail. Moving to the left then, counterclockwise, you can see that your solar project, what we call the Muni Solar project here, supplies about 5% of your energy. Then the next one down is the Locust Ridge Wind project, project over in Pennsylvania. You get about 10% of your energy from that project. Moving on down, again counterclockwise, the Brown County landfill, you get about 10% of your energy from that project. Then the Green Up Hydro project supplies again, and then the balance is basically from the market. So you get about, at least for this year anyway, about 12% of your energy just basically from the market. The JV2 project, and we'll talk about a little more detail, really is just only used very little during the year for peak shaving, and so you don't get really, it's pretty much negligible energy you get from that project. So we go to the next slide. This is the 5 hydro plant projects that you get power from. I mentioned that there's the 3 projects that are part of the AMP Hydro project, which are the Smithland, Cannleton, and Willow Island, kind of at both ends of the watershed. And then you also get power from both the Beldall and Green Up projects. So, well, let's just go to the next slide and we can talk a little bit about these. These are low-head hydro projects, all located on the Ohio River. Low-head meaning they're about 25 to 30 foot. They were basically built at existing dams that were built by the Army Corps of Engineers to, basically for barge traffic on the Ohio River. So then these hydro plants were added to those dam facilities. All total from these projects, these 5 different hydro units, you can see you get about, excuse me, about 3.5 megawatts of capacity from those projects. So, on the next slide, I mentioned the New York Power Authority, or what we call NYPA. These are basically 2 hydroelectric projects built back in the late 50s, early 60s, both on the Niagara River and the St. Lawrence River. One of the nice things about this project is you can see the price is pretty good. It's the cheapest resource you've got in your mix. And right now, anyway, that license is extended out to 2032. You know, the only really downside of this project is you'd like to get more of it, but it's a limited resource. And the amount you get is based on your 2002 residential customers. So, excuse me.
Real quick, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
2002, is that static? Is it always forever going to be that?
They periodically adjust that allocation. They originally did one in 1980, I think it was 1981 or 1983, and then they updated it again in 2002, but it's not been updated since. So, usually, unless somebody were to come in and complain and try to get it reallocated, but so right now anyway, we've been set with that number. So.
Okay, thank you.
Then the next slide is the Brown County landfill. This is located in Brown County to the south of you. You get about 440 kilowatts of capacity out of that project. That project under contract with Energy Development through 2032. And the key here is that you only get RECs for 50% of the output, or your share of the output on this project. So kind of keep that in mind when we talk later about the RECs. Next slide is the Erie County landfill. Excuse me. And you can see on this project, you get 700 kilowatts of capacity. It's a total of a 2 megawatt project. This project actually, this contract, I should say, expires at the end of this year, but AMP is working to negotiate an extension of that contract. So hopeful that they'll be able to get that extended into the future. And probably would maintain the same 700 kilowatts of capacity. The next slide. Oh, let me back up just one, Judy, if we can.
Back to your...
Yeah, just wanted to point out as well, this also comes with just 50% of the RECs. So you don't get a REC for 100% of the output, but you get 50%. The Locust Wind Ridge project, this is a project, actually it's a short-term energy supply contract, basically. Runs through September of 2025, and you get 1,600 kilowatts of the capacity out of this, and this comes without RECs. It was just the RECs were already committed to someone else when AMP entered into this contract. This project's been around for a while, so, but AMP was just looking for a kind of a bridge purchase for those who are in need of energy. And then the next slide, I think I know that guy in that picture, is your Yellow Spring solar project. You can see it's got a rating of 1,000 kW or 1 megawatt. It says, actually this slide, AMP said, and again, it was their slide, it says 1,500 megawatt hours per year. It's actually closer to 1,800 is what, is at least what they're showing in your capacity plan. So the project is owned and operated by AEP on-site partners. Now in this case, though, you do get 100% of the RECs. Even though they're not actually turned over to you, AEP retires them in the name of the village. So you do get full credit for those renewable energy credits, even though you don't technically receive them. So.
Excuse me, John.
Yeah.
Does that mean then that we can't sell them?
Let me answer that in just a second. The JV2 project, as I mentioned before, doesn't really operate many hours. It's mainly for peak shaving. It's basically gas-fired turbines, or a combination, I should say, of gas-fired turbines and some diesel units. So it's not a renewable project, but again, the amount of energy that you receive from it is pretty negligible. Really, the key of this project, though, is it basically generates cash. As the one picture shows, it's debt-free, and it's basically used for peak shaving purposes, and so it gets, basically saves transmission and capacity costs, which those savings get passed on to all the participants. So even though it's not a renewable resource, it's really reduces cost for your residents. So I think that brings us to the bar graph. This kind of gives you an idea of, a makeup of all the resources relative to your energy requirements. And you can see this year and actually going out through 2025, we're showing you, again, roughly at that 90% level. What you see in the top, the red and white hashed, is basically your shortfall, or what comes from the market that's not coming from dedicated or committed resources. So in a couple years, you're going to have Locust Ridge fall off. That's that top one. Followed by the Erie County landfill. That's that kind of greenish one, second to the top. And then eventually the Brown County landfill. So you're going to have some void there that you're going to need to take a look at in the next few years. So with that, let's talk a little bit about your renewable energy credits. Thank you, Judy. So basically a REC is a certificate that represents the environmental attributes for 1 megawatt hour of electricity generated from a renewable energy source. So for example, with your solar, for every 1,000 kilowatt hours or 1 megawatt hour, you get credit for 1 renewable energy credit. All total, as you see here in a little bit, your total RECs you receive from your existing resources is about 24,000 RECs. And if you remember, we talked about you have a 37,000 megawatt hour energy requirement. So if you wanted to be 100% renewable, you'd obviously need to go out and acquire either more renewable energy sources or purchase RECs to the tune of about 13,000 in order for you to be considered to be fully renewable, 100% renewable. And yeah, RECs are a tradable commodity. They can be purchased and sold. However, and we go to the next slide, you can see on the NIPA, in response to your question, well, from the NIPA you get the equivalent of RECs. We showed it as RECs because given the age of the NIPA units, they don't actually issue a REC, but it's counted as a renewable energy resource. And so you just never receive an actual REC for it, but you do get credit for that and is considered to be renewable. So those aren't tradable. But all the other ones you get are tradable. The only exception, well, and again, what we wanted to put together for you here was to give you an idea of what the value of those RECs are, because I know you've had some discussions about selling RECs and buying back RECs. And so we wanted to give you an idea of what the value of the REC portfolio would be. And you can see that, based on current market for the RECs, and the market, by the way, for Meldal and Greene up in the landfill has recently gone up quite a bit. They're now able to be traded in Pennsylvania, and so they draw a price of about $30 a REC, which is the equivalent of 3 cents a kilowatt hour. So you can see all totaled on an annual basis, your RECs have a value of around $520,000 a year. Not insignificant by any means. Now, if you were to sell those RECs to the market and want to buy them back, and you've done that a few years ago, bought back what's called Greene E-RECs. Those Greene E-RECs today are trading for about $3. So to buy back, well, if you bought back enough RECs to cover not only what you sold, but your market energy as well, your total need, you'd be looking at about $100,000 to buy the whole roughly 33 million or 33,000 RECs. So a net of about $400,000 on an annual basis.
I have a question. When we have sold our RECs, and I think we did it last year, at any rate, when we sold our RECs, did we only sell to replace did we only buy back what we sold to replace what we, in other words,
Yes, the answer is you bought back what you sold, basically. Correct. You didn't buy more. You didn't buy enough to cover the whole energy requirement of the village, but you bought back Greene E-RECs to cover the RECs that you sold.
But it would be possible for us to buy 100% So that
Absolutely.
we could then say we were 100%
Correct.
renewable.
Absolutely.
If we wanted to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and based on the current market, it looks like you could do that and still have about a $400,000 net benefit.
And why is the value of our Yellow Spring solar rec so?
Well, I'm glad you caught that one, because quite frankly, we wouldn't recommend that you sell them because they're below market. And so, you know, which works to your benefit. But the other thing is, right now, those recs are being retained and retired in your name by AEP on-site. So while they are your recs, you don't technically receive them, kind of like the NIPA, but they're getting retained and retired by AEP. You're getting credit for them. And right now, since they're below market, there wouldn't be a need to get them in your hands to sell them. So.
And that's based on the way we structured the deal with?
Well, it's because the project hasn't been certified for other states. You know, while they can be traded in Ohio, they can't be traded in other adjoining states. And that's where you get this higher value right now. You know, Ohio had a renewable energy portfolio standard for the investor-owned utilities that they kind of, you know, did away with. And when that was in existence, recs in Ohio had a lot higher value. Because a portion of those had to come from Ohio resources. There's actually a bill being introduced in the State House right now that's trying to re-implement that renewable energy standard portfolio, which would probably boost then the value of your solar recs being in Ohio. Yeah. But right now, that's kind of where they're at.
So you've actually answered my questions when you went through, or this one question when you went through and talked about the recs and what was, you know, what the values of them were, and how it would take that other 13,000 recs for us to be considered 100% renewable. But I guess is that the official calculation in terms of us claiming to be, or to be sourced?
Yeah, basically you would, now you don't know what your total energy requirement is till the end of the year. Correct. So you can either just, you know, estimate, AMP does that for you anyway, and estimates what that's going to be, and you've got an estimate of what your recs you're going to have available to sell, and you could go ahead and buy that differential. But you can always buy more. You can buy recs past the date. In other words, you can buy recs back and sell recs back a couple of years. So once you know what your actual energy usage was, or your energy requirement, and what you've sold, then you would know what what total you need to have to buy back.
So I mean, right now we're talking about another 39,000 to be 100% renewable.
Yes, that's correct.
So why would we do that?
Well, if you want to be considered to be 100% renewable, that's what you would need to do. Or find other resources that you can buy energy from to replace market purchases. But then you would probably end up being long on energy, at least right now, because you don't need 13,000 megawatt hours.
Okay, that's what I was kind of wondering.
That's more what you're buying from the market.
Gotcha.
But no, if you want to be able to say that you're 100% renewable, you would need to have, a combination of either recs from your own resources and purchases to do that in order to be able to say that.
So otherwise, to be 100% renewable, we'd have to go long. Is that?
No, you don't have, no. What I was saying is you could wait till the end of the year,
Okay.
see where you're at, and then, say in 2024, buy the recs that you need to make you 100% renewable for 2023. You can actually buy them retroactively.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that I will admit that's a revelation to me, because, I was looking back at, I guess it's slide number 7 with the pie chart, and looking at, well, if those are all of our sources, and that, we're at least 88%.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, except not all of them come with recs, and not all of them come with 100% recs.
Okay, but
some of them you get 50% of the recs, and some you don't. Like Locust Wind, you don't get any.
Yeah.
JV2, obviously, you don't get much energy from it. And the market, while there is some portion of the market that is probably renewable, they don't come with RECs when you buy energy and just buy energy in the market. Now, you can buy renewable energy in the marketplace for that 10%, for example. You could do that at the start of the year, and you could have AMP lock that in if you wanted to do that. Or, again, you could just wait till the end of the year, figure out how many Greene E RECs you need, and just make the purchase balance for you at the end of the year.
Can you explain the reason why we need to keep like 10% of market power versus buying all and locking us into 100%?
Well, you certainly don't want to lock in long-term resources that would match your full energy requirement, because, and you've got probably the best example I give to people, Johnny, and that is you could lose one of your biggest loads overnight, a la Antioch College, as you went through here a few years ago. So you don't want to lock up all of your energy needs in long-term resources. You want some flexibility there, that if you lose load, you're not ending up selling to the marketplace. So 10%, you're right now at about 10%, and that's a pretty comfortable number.
Okay.
Probably even a little bit larger than that. Again, keeping in mind that you can always wait till the end of the year and go back and buy Greene E RECs to make yourself 100% renewable. Correct. Without having to buy ahead of time.
Right.
So John, is there a typical strategy that municipalities are using related to RECs?
I would
Or
say
is
we've
it
probably
like-
got, it's got a half a dozen, maybe, if that, 4 or 5 communities that actually look at RECs. Oberlin, for example, does exactly what we're talking about. And we're starting to see with some of our other municipal clients, industrial customers in particular are wanting to know how much of their energy is coming from renewable resources. And so they're starting to look at it. I think you guys have been ahead of the game for some time at looking at renewable energy. You actually have probably more actual renewable energy resources, if we're not just counting RECs, but just total energy, than any of our other clients. So.
John, I'm going to jump in here. We do have one council person that's remote. So Gavin, I see your hand is raised. You have a question?
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure I'm not missing something. I mean, we've talked since I've been on council about the percentage of renewables being higher than the slide we showed, how many RECs we need to buy to be considered 100% renewable. So I think we've been conflating the sort of actual renewable resources that are going into our energy needs and the REC renewable claim numbers. Is that, I don't know if that's a question for you, John, or just if anybody else on council wants to reflect on that, but it seems like we just need to pick a way or have a clear way that we communicate about this, because I'm just thinking about what our goals this year. We talked about it as though, we're almost there on renewable resources, but nothing has changed since that conversation. It's just the way that we talked about it. Is that accurate?
Well, yeah, let me see if I can address that for you, Gavin. I think that maybe there was just some misunderstanding regarding a couple of your resources. The 2 landfill gas projects, the Round County and Erie County, you don't receive 100% RECs. And my guess is that maybe the assumption was that you were previously. So that's part of why that, it looks now like you need more RECs than maybe what you thought. The other is the Locust Ridge wind. While it is a wind project, it is renewable, but again, the RECs for that project were sold to someone else long ago, and so it's basically just an energy source for you. But it is a renewable project, but you don't get any RECs associated with that. So when you add those 3 together, that's what contributes to it looking like you need more RECs than what you probably thought was the case.
So
let me say it more plainly. I think our previous village manager had complete understanding of how many RECs we got from each one of our sources, because we were very it was an important component around the sale and the price, but at the same time the communication was that our percentage of renewables was higher than the number of RECs. So basically what I'm asking is, but I'm just saying it so we all don't forget, that we should decide, are we going to be one of those communities, like Overland, honestly, I think it's worth some discussion, that's trying to reach that renewability goal, which, from RECs, being able to say that based on RECs. Because this is in our goals right now, as we're trying to reach renewability, but are we relating that to the RECs? Are we relating it to the actual purchase of, or the actual form of energy that is being utilized by our community, which are just two functionally different things?
Well,
We don't need to answer it right now, just flag it.
But my sense is that when we've been talking about our energy being mostly renewable, we're talking about the actual energy that we're using, the contracts, not the RECs. And as John has pointed out, some of our renewable energy is, we're not getting any RECs from them. Some of them, we're getting some RECs, some of them we're getting RECs, but we can't sell them. So I don't think we've ever based our energy portfolio on the RECs and saying that we have 100% or whatever, 90% because of the RECs. It's because of the actual energy sources.
Right, and that's been my understanding, and certainly as the graph shows, we're bona fide 88.3%. So we are buying 88.3% of our energy from renewable sources. We just don't get credit.
That's correct.
For all 88.3%. So we can round up to 90.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to kind of explain that, so for example, the Brown County landfill or the Locust Ridge Wind or the Erie County, those RECs that you don't get, someone else got them. Someone paid for those and purchased those from the supplier, and they're claiming those as their renewable energy. Now, they didn't get the energy from it. You paid for the energy from those projects, but somebody else paid for the REC. You didn't pay for the REC. So.
And that would be the reason why the cost is probably lower than if we
Lower
was
than
to
it
get
would have
the
been,
rec.
yes, absolutely is lower than it would have been if you had to buy it with RECs. Correct. But that said, there's nothing wrong with buying Greene E-RECs to make up that REC shortfall for that portion of energy that you got from a renewable resource. It just didn't have the green tag, as we call it.
Right, and from being nimble, it is certainly, we certainly have more flexibility to decide to buy Greene E-RECs as opposed to making this long multi-year commitment, to a source where we are paying more per kilowatt hour, megawatt, and getting 100% credit for
Absolutely. I mean, again, we wouldn't recommend that you'd buy 100% of your energy needs, again, on a long-term basis, but that doesn't mean you can't buy some, 10% or 5% from the market and turn around and buy Greene E-RECs to cover that purchase.
All right. Duly noted.
And keep in mind, when you buy a Greene E-RECs, it was generated by a renewable resource.
Right.
That's how it got created. So
Right.
somebody else didn't get to count it. You ended up getting to count it.
Right. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to make sure he hits this before we let him sit down, because this is a major thing for Ben and myself and the village.
Yeah, so, well, I know Johnny shared with us, by the way, the report you got or the numbers you got from Encompass on some of your system improvements that you're needing. And I know in that presentation, part of the discussion that Mike Kaiser mentioned to you folks is about, the effect of EVs, electric vehicles, are going to have on your load. This slide was in the presentation that AMP provided to us. And I thought, I wanted to stick this in here because I think it shows 63, I believe, EVs in Yellow Springs. That's got to be double or triple. We just saw Jackson, the city of Jackson, for example, and I think it's like double or triple what they have in their whole zip code area, which includes outside their corporate limits. I mean, you guys certainly have probably more EVs than per customer or per size of load or however you want to count it than any of our other clients. And so I think you're going to see you're going to see that impact coming down the road where they're going to start to impact your load. And certainly that's going to affect your ability to provide, meet your peak load, provide your service.
I know it doesn't make sense, but I do not have a plug-in hybrid. I just have a regular hybrid. I guess I'd like to be able to contribute to this somehow, but I guess there's no legitimate way to do that, huh?
I'm sorry?
There's no legitimate way to give credit for a hybrid, for a pure hybrid vehicle, a non-plug-in.
I don't know if those are on the list or not. I don't,
And I don't see any here.
yeah,
You pay regular, just regular.
I don't take credit for the list.
no,
It came
no,
from
no.
AMP, so.
And that's probably the battery. That's probably the,
So, no, I don't pay regular.
okay.
I
So you're
just saw the bill.
You're in that one.
So, yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah, I pay some
Yeah, you should
upcharge.
be a battery electric vehicle, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I feel better now.
Yeah.
That I'm paying.
Some
a
of
lot
might have
more
been problems.
Anything I can do to help. Okay. Cool.
Good.
All right, so it seemed like there was more presentation to go. No, that was it.
Nope, that's
Okay.
it.
Those,
Okay. All right,
Thanks, John.
Okay, guys.
great. Thanks, John.
Thanks,
Thanks for
John.
coming. Appreciate you. There's
John,
another special. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go.
anytime you guys want to leave, I know you're from, you got to drive. They're from Findlay, so
Okay.
don't feel like you have to stay. I appreciate you coming in.
I think we'll slip out before you next.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
certainly
Samantha's the
understandable.
top-notch presenter. You may want to stay for this.
Well, just
Thank you.
get online. Whoever's not driving can pull it up. All right, Samantha, you're up with the Youth Center and Pool Operations. Samantha Stewart.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
So I get to do all the fun stuff here in the village with the kids and the pool. So just a little mission statement, what the Bryan Center is about. The Bryan Center provides the youth of Yellow Springs an opportunity to interact with each other regardless of race, religion, orientation, or socioeconomic background in a supervised substance-free environment. Our staff promotes healthy, age-appropriate development in teens and preteens by providing them a space other than school or home where they can develop positive social skills, build self-esteem, observe and learn conflict resolution, and participate in activities to maintain and appreciate a healthy lifestyle. We strive to strengthen the community by encouraging the youth to help and support each other, as well as the community as a whole. We want to be active participants in shaping values, installing hope and confidence in the youth of Yellow Springs so they can grow to become adults who celebrate diversity and learn and lead healthy, fulfilling lives. And that's what we try to do every day. So we average about 22 youth per day. We provide after-school snacks to all students from our budget and generous donations from food pantry and just sometimes people that just walk in and give us fruit and vegetables that we can't usually get. So we provide meals to an average of 15 youth per evening, and that number has gone up in the last 3 years pretty significantly. So we organize and participate in our weekly activities like movie nights, arts and crafts, games, and gym time. We also assist the youth with homework when needed, which is just the employees doing that, which we're not that great at math. So we have actually started to partner with Greene County Public Library has a tutoring program. So we have the space for it because the kids are already here. So we started partnering with them, and we're getting a bigger turnout than the library had, which is really nice because they pay for everything, we just have the space. So, also, this year we did something fun with the library. We hosted the space again. They provide all the financial backing for a didgeridoo event and a chess camp that was very well attended. That was really, I was impressed when I came in and saw as many kids as they had. And I think it filled up so fast, they had a waiting list. So that was really, it was really cool to see. So we also do a lot with YSPD. They support us, we support them. Yeah, so we got invited to go for the Coats for Kids shopping trip, and it was so much fun. We got free pizza and shopping. So we're really trying to push working with the high school students and McKinney in getting community service hours. We've done a few things with YSPD, still trying to work on it. It's hard to get everybody together and on board and organized. So like this week, I'm hoping to do a group, because they have to have these hours to graduate. We've done some stuff with the streets and sewer and street crew with Tanner. He just, I haven't actually given him his forms yet to sign. Sorry, Tanner. And, I'm going to take a group of kids to the Beloved Community Project and have them help with that this weekend, because I think that's important for them to do. So So that's pretty much the Bryan Center. I'm going backwards, so sorry. Oh, wait, field trips. Okay, so this is really fun. So now that we've got 2 people in after school, and pretty much through the whole shift at night, we can take these mini field trips, like you see up top, where we can go downtown, we can go in the Glen, we can go out to Alice, we can go on the bike path. We're also getting to take the kids to community events, like sporting events, graduations. We took them to both graduations, 6th grade and high school this year. And of course, our field trip. That picture's from last year because we are not going until the 28th this year. So Kings Island is the big one. That's what we fundraise for. It is getting more expensive and harder to get transportation, so we did not get to go on our field trip this summer because it is very hard, and those charter buses are not cheap. So we're taking school buses right now. We're looking to find alternate modes of transportation that can get us all there. Okay, so we're going to move on to the pool. And, you know, our community has supported Gaunt Park Pool for decades, and it provides a recreational space that promotes healthy and safe swimming for patrons of all ages. Pool passes are available at the beginning of the season and are almost sold out by mid-July. We sold 96 family passes, 10 senior passes, 5 junior passes, and 9 adult plus 1 minor pass. Non-resident passes, we saw a very big increase in those this year, with 24 family passes sold, 2 senior passes, 2 junior passes, and 6 adult passes. So I think we maybe have 2 left in the pass box. So then we have Swimming for All, which is a not funded program that we have had for years. And that is where we provide discount 50 to 100% for pool passes, so everybody has the opportunity to swim. It is utilized mainly by families with children, but Judy and I, we got, and a lot of it was Judy, I will say, got that grant from the Yellow Springs Community Foundation this year to cover the ones we sold this year. Some of it, the leftover, is going to go to next year, but this program just, it has no money in it. So usually we're doing 50% off the price of a family pool pass, but we also think that with proper funding, we can reach more people, like seniors in our community, and also low-income single adults, because, you know, they deserve a pass too. So swimming for pool passes this year, we sold 11 family, 2 adult plus 1 minor, 3 junior passes, 3 senior passes, and 2 adult passes. And it's only for Yellow Springs residents, the Swimming for All program. So pool staff, pools across the country are struggling to get staff right now. Lifeguarding is expensive to get your certification. It's, you know, mainly kids between the ages of 15 and 19, I still consider them kids, are getting their lifeguarding certifications. So most kids really can't afford to do that, but I think we get pretty lucky with our staff. We have a lot of them come back. Most of our staff has been there for multiple seasons. And then we have a few staff like Josephine up there with Antonio. She was a gate attendant for 2 years, and this year she came back as a lifeguard and a manager. So we just get lucky. So we had Natalie Galarza. She was our Yellow Springs Community Foundation Miller Fellow. She has been with us since 2017. And this year she came back as a manager. She's been a lifeguard all that time. So, so we keep up their skills by participating in biweekly in-services. With this date to training, there were 7 saves made by staff this year, which was less than last year. So all staff is responsible for maintaining a clean, safe environment for all patrons in and out of the water by doing the following. They have to test water chemicals multiple times daily. They have to maintain proper chemicals levels. They also have to identify and notify supervisors of potential issues or hazards in and out of the water. Cleaning and sanitizing the facility, restrooms, and common areas. So this year our highlights for the pool were, we usually host the Yellow Springs Aquatic Swim Club, which is, they're called the Sea Dogs. And for practices and home meets, we were given the Marjorie S. Russell Endowment from the Yellow Springs Community Foundation to supplement free swim lessons to local children. Participated in Safety Village with YSPD to teach kids water safety in and around pools, which was also a lot of fun. Midnight Swim had 207 attendees. It was a big one this year. We supported second-year guard Antonio Chayton with his senior project of a junior lifeguard boot camp to keep younger kids interested in lifeguarding. Very well attended, very well attended. I think he also had a wait list for that. They also got to go to a real in-service that our guards did. So we also did our annual dog swim, and it had 32 swimmers, pup swimmers. That's all I have.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, Sam, at least one question. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, yeah, I have a few. So with the Kings Island trip, how does the decision get made that we can't do it versus like figuring out how to fund that transportation?
Well, in the summertime, we were unable to get a bus. They didn't have one and a driver for us in the summertime. So this year, right now, I've already submitted the form to get a bus from Yellow Springs Schools, and I'm just waiting for it to be signed off on, and hopefully I get that okay pretty soon, because we've already advertised our trip.
Okay.
So we just, it goes in for approval.
All right, so I guess the first thing I would put out there is that, I mean, we should figure out how to make sure that trip happens, and so like
I would like to do that.
Okay.
But I know when we've done research on charter buses, they range from $1,600 to $2,500.
Okay. So for example, I know that, Oakwood schools use the City of Dayton buses or whatever. So I guess I...
Definitely, all suggestions, info you might have, please email them to me.
Okay.
Because we're really hunting around, trying
Okay,
to find...
so yeah, so when I hear something like that, like, elevate that, because I and maybe other people, could help with that.
Yeah, we
Like,
would
that's-
love any suggestions for alternate
Okay.
transportation that isn't going to
Go ahead.
take...
Yeah,
Carmen.
so that got to me too, because I participated in this village has been doing this for years and years and years, and
Yeah.
I participated as a kid, and I'm not a kid.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, I feel what you're saying, like if this happens, if this is a thing where we're not going to have any money, so the kids can go to Kings Island, then that needs to come to council. And we can make a decision on how we deal with that. I don't know if we can work that into a budgeting thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we're doing parking cars, and so we have used that money so far for Kings Island. Now, they have redone, it used to be I would take a check the day of with the actual kids that I've, paid and everything's ready to go. It's not, you have to prepay.
Right.
So I kind of need everybody to get themselves together,
Uh-huh.
a bunch of teenagers and families and everybody, and let me know who's exactly going and who's what, because otherwise that money's just gone. We don't get it back. They
Sure.
don't recoup.
Right.
You pay for what you paid for.
Okay.
So that, I think our last trip was 1,600,
Okay.
and that one was great, because with everybody's support, village staff mainly, Ms. Florence shaking trees, we
Oh, yeah.
were able to pay for all the kids to have a meal plan.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that was, and it's an all-day meal plan.
Yep.
So that's what I want to see happen, is all these kids can go, because food there, one meal's $17.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So it'd be nice to have that all-day meal ticket for all of them, because for us, we get a discount on it.
Right.
So just have to
Okay,
have the money to do
so,
it.
yeah, we got to figure out a way for that not to happen again. Swim for all, so when I saw the PowerPoint, when I read the packet, I thought the not was a mistake. So I feel like, haven't we sometimes funded
No,
Swim for All? Like,
no, we
that's
just do
never
it.
been?
We just do it. We just do it.
Hmm.
So that just means that we just lose money. We got funding 2 years ago from the
So it's
Levy
always
Community
been
Project.
either community foundation, but it's never been, or not even?
No, I think 10 years ago, maybe, over 10 years ago. Green
Okay.
Met used to help fund it,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but that hasn't happened.
Okay, well, that surprised me, because I know, like, we've talked about it, and I thought that we were supporting that somehow. All right, so we need to look at that. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is, with staffing, have we thought about retirees, like, in the way that,
Anybody is welcome to apply. But
Okay.
do I get anybody over the age of 24 applying? No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know that's,
Yeah.
Antioch
And for us,
College.
we're a seasonal pool.
Mhm.
We are only open 3 months.
Right.
So most adults are looking for something a little bit more full-time.
Okay. See? Well,
Some.
Mary Ann's like able to
Yeah.
carry her 20 pounds now or whatever it is, so 50 pounds?
No, not 10.
Oh, 10, okay.
Only small kids.
All right, well, this has been enlightening because, yeah, I did not understand some of these challenges, so thank you.
And Sam, I appreciate everything. I do appreciate the leadership, the growth in leadership that you exemplified. You showed, young folks who were lifeguards, gate attendants, and then eventually become managers.
Yeah.
So it's really good to see,
Yeah.
that growth path. Tutors, are those the tutors that you get for the after-school program? Is that?
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry, I completely forgot to mention. 365 Project. 365 Project. They give us one-on-one tutors. I think I have it in the slide, I just forgot to say it, I'm so sorry. So they give us one-on-one tutors, and a lot of them are specifically for math. So all they have to do is we can coordinate, and we have the space.
Nice.
So when they want to, and if they choose to, we can get them the space for one-on-one tutoring for
Nice.
specifically middle school and high school kids that are struggling in math.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that certainly answered that question. The junior lifeguard program, I thought that was.
That was cool.
It was great when I heard about it.
It was, and he was so passionate about him doing that specifically to kind of get younger kids really excited
Yeah.
to want to be a lifeguard because they look up to him and think they're really cool, and he did a good job. He
Yeah.
did such a good job.
What are your thoughts about continuing that?
Well, hopefully it becomes an every year thing, and even if we don't have a senior willing to take it on as a senior project, I think it's something that we can do on our own. I think it is,
Okay. all right.
as long as we know our limitations.
Gotcha. And Brian, remind me, I hate to bring up a potential downer, but wasn't there some outreach to Greene County with respect to support for the pool? What else being?
That was me.
Okay.
And Greene County does not support they support the parks, but they will not support the pool at all.
Okay. That's in the park.
That's in the park. Correct.
Okay.
Despite all the sales tax that they get from us, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. All right, good. Well, I think that's all I had. Very, very, oh, well, there's Gavin. I was looking for the
Yeah.
Zoom hand, I didn't see it.
Thank you for the presentation. Lots of good information here. I just had a question about the Swim for All program. So, can you just help me understand, why not expand it? When you say it's not funded, that just means obviously everybody who's paying for passes is helping to cover the cost of the operation of the pool, right? So the more passes we give away, the less that we make back. Is that?
Yes.
And I guess so. Essentially, at some point, the major cost is opening the pool, right? But then I guess at what point is there a marginal? Do we already have enough lifeguards to watch, or is there some capacity? We don't necessarily need to talk about this now. I guess I just looked at this and went, man, it seems like by far the biggest expense is opening the pool. Shouldn't we have let as many people in as we have the staffing capacity to allow into the pool?
Are you asking if we have enough staff?
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking about the times I've been in the pool where it seems like there are lifeguards that are manning stations. There's somebody that's at that's at the front area. And I think about there's some days where you go and there's not that many people. If you're getting the reason, and I always say that chemical costs would increase the more people are using the pool. There would be, use costs. But it isn't by far the biggest use cost, simply opening and closing the pool. I'm making a good talk there, advocating or wondering, should we just expand the Swimming for All program? And if so, at what point would it actually have a meaningful impact on the budget to allow more people to swim?
Well, as far as staffing, we have to staff with the intention that we can have enough people there to have to sit every chair, because that's safe. Because there's a certain amount of guards you have to have per patron. So that's how we staff. If it's dead, we short staff. I send people home. That's how we do that. But yeah, I would think chemicals have gone up 30% the last 3 years. And that's just, I mean, we get a discount because we've been with the company we go through, but that's a big expense. One of our biggest expenses is chemicals. And they have to maintain, they have to be at a certain level at all times. So, and then surprise maintenance.
Hello.
Yeah. So I would say that those are our biggest expenses, right?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions? Sam, thanks for coming. Wonderful presentation. We appreciate all the information.
Thanks, Samantha.
Thanks, Samantha.
All righty, we are to the manager's report.
All right.
Per our agenda timeline, we're just a couple minutes late.
Just a couple.
About 40.
Okay.
So Johnny, I'm gonna, unless council has some particular questions, I'm gonna ask you to use your discretion in terms of what you want to share.
So I'm going to give real fast updates, look at social media, Channel 5, for things that are happening this week with road closures and sewer repairs. And then I really want to devote the rest of the time to Light Up Navajo Nation. If you had a chance to watch the video, and we'll put the link out there, Ben can put it out there. Ben Sparks has been the person leading this for the last couple of years. We're finally able to staff it, so I'm going to allow Ben to come up for questions if you have questions. And then when he's done, I would like to get a kind of a census of where council stands, because we need to act before we get budget approved on the next steps. So if you got questions, Ben's here. He can answer as many as you got.
So why don't you, for people that don't know what Light Up Navajo Nation is, give a quick overview, and then we can talk about what our plans are to get people to where they need to be.
Correct.
So in that packet, in that video, I don't know if you guys watched it or not, but Light Up Navajo covers Arizona, Utah, New Mexico. That's the main three states that they're in, and it's about the size of West Virginia, all the land there, and they just struggle to have electric.
Right, so it's an initiative to bring
Yes.
power to,
Yes, that's exactly what it's for.
to the nation.
And it's just donated labor is what they look for. You can bring vehicles if you want to, but it's mainly just the labor. They have trucks and stuff out there. So some towns will fly in and do the work. Some towns will drive in. But the goal is just to go there and just donate your time and just help people that has never had electric get electric.
So in terms of what we're thinking about, or what you're thinking about in terms of our supporting this effort, excuse me, are you all just providing manpower, or is someone going to drive a truck?
We've kind of kicked it back and forth. I didn't even know the fly out was even an option. I met with a guy last week with another municipality, and he told me that's what his crew's done, that they just flew out. So you'll get all your tools, you'll UPS all your tools out there, and then you get there, and then AMP, I don't know if you got, AMP they pay for each employee to go out there. They give up to $1,500 for each employee to get your flights out there and to get back. So you would get there and then basically get a service truck, and then they cover all your hotel, all your food once you get there. So it's just basically, they want you work about 12 to 16 hours a day, and just building just circuits, just miles and miles and miles of circuits.
And the work days are really like, what, Sunday to Thursday?
You have to be there by Sunday morning. There is a show up, a safety show up, and then they kind of give you all the guidelines of what you have to do. And then once you do that, Monday morning is when you start working, and it's usually a 2 to 3 hour drive just to get to the location where you actually start working. And then, of course, it's a 2 to 3 hour drive back to the hotel. And so that's why your days are at least 12 to 16 hour days out there.
Yeah. Well, I've seen the video. Yes, I cried the appropriate amount of tears. And I think someone alluded to the fact that you see these, Johnny bearded, with the hats, and these guys just breaking down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I guess, that just shows that there's some common thread in humanity.
Yeah.
When you do something that impactful for other folks,
Yeah.
and the appreciation that's shown. So whatever we could do to make it happen. It sounds like we get a lot of support from
Yeah, we
Ann.
do. We get a lot of support.
We do, and Ben alluded to, he had talked to, it was actually Ed Krieger with Piqua, and while our team would be out there, he is willing to help us if we have problems and the staff here needs extra hands. He's willing to help us while our crews are out helping other people.
How many folks are we talking about sending
We're
out?
talking right now 5 to 6.
Okay.
Now, I'll say this again, and Gavin's on all the council, this is made possible because of the extra staff that you guys have been able to help us with, to be able to do our own work and now be able to go help others while leaving other people behind to be able to continue to do work here. So thanks to the council as well.
Great.
All right, well, we're doing it.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Good.
Yeah. Well, and
You got room for Carmen?
Let's go.
And I think
They do welcome that.
They welcome you-
They
they welcome council
welcome like
people?
photographers and stuff, people to go along with, as long as you share your videos and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Ooh.
let me put my,
Everybody
Road
starts looking at the
trip.
calendars now.
Well, and I think we said last Thursday, we supported.
thank you
I
guys
mean,
so much.
this is also, the kind of thing that, beyond just, how amazing the work is, it's about developing the team and, it's great.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited.
everything about it's awesome.
I
Thank you
think
guys.
we're all for it.
So that's where I'm going to end my manager's report. I did my due diligence to catch us up.
Man, you are on it.
All right,
You're on it.
I just want to quickly say, related to the infrastructure piece,
Yes.
great that Chief Burge got hers in the mix. I'd like to make sure that we're kind of staying updated on the storm
Yes.
piece and, things like, where we're headed with the unfunded mandate for lead and whatnot. So if we can make sure to keep those in the mix in the manager's report, that'd be great.
Cool. Any other questions for Johnny relative to the manager's report? Already? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Gavin.
I just want to flag the one piece around seeing the 1,800% increase in the first full month around Channel 5 viewership. That was really cool to see. Great to see the expansion of our services to reach more people. I'm always amazed how many people watch these meetings and other content online. Let us know about it, and it's great to see that we're working to expand that. So thank you.
Yep. So let's all give a hand to Ben for
Absolutely.
Channel 5. And thank you for your expertise and your support. Really, really appreciate it. So now, okay, old business. There's no old business, so we'll run right by that. And in terms of new business, we do have a report from Chief Burge regarding the police recruit program proposal.
All right, best for last, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so I briefly touched on this at our last council meeting, discussions around the difficulties we've had with recruitment and retention, specifically since the job market's changed. I think it started when we came back from COVID and it's just gotten worse from there. It's an extremely aggressive, extremely competitive market. I don't know if I doubt it's specific to police, but it seems to be here in the Greene County area kind of just everyone's poaching everybody's people, and so if we don't stay competitive in this market, then we're going to have a hard time retaining people or getting the most bang for our buck. So hopefully you guys had time to take a look at my proposal. Nothing totally crazy in there. I think I hit the highlights a couple Mondays back, but essentially looking to create the position of police recruit so that we can begin the recruitment process prior to somebody even beginning their training. And in some cases, if they have begun their training but not committed to a specific agency, we can come in and scoop them up and get a commitment out of those people for 24 to 36 months potentially. Tied it in with our village guidelines on policing. I think it obviously screams long-term investment in the community by saying, hey, we're going to invest in you up front, you invest in us long-term. We already have I can't stress this enough either, between the vacancies and the really good management of the resources we currently have, we have funds for this year to cover a large portion of what this would cost, which to me says it's a no-brainer, but obviously that's not up to me. So those are the highlights. Are there any questions about that?
Real quick, when I saw about, I don't know if it wasn't just what you said, but it's what I read also in terms of, the poaching of, officers going from
Sure.
one jurisdiction to another.
Yep.
And so, quite honestly, for a moment, I felt a little bit of pride in that, wow, they like our officers.
Yeah,
We're doing a good job. But is it sort of circular? Is it mainly we're losing folks to various communities, or is everybody sort of swapping officers?
I mean, I think it's kind of circular. I think what's happening is it's whoever, especially with, I hate to pick on any particular specific generation, but I think what you'll find with younger, new age employees is their priorities are based in work-life balance. So how much time off am I going to get? Am I actually going to get time off that's respected and given? And what am I going to be compensated? They're less worried about, feeling like their employer loves them and takes, those kind of things. So it's a balance because, how we have people in the workforce from 20 all the way up to 60 plus years of age. So everybody's priorities are a little bit different, but if we're looking to bring in new talent, I think this is a big part of that.
Right. So we're effectively creating a pipeline.
That's right. 100%.
For future officers.
Yeah. And really, I think this will help significantly as well, build more homegrown police officers. I don't know if you guys know this, but the only officer that lives in town, Officer David Meister, he was actually sponsored through the academy. So.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Well, it works.
Yeah, there you go. So my hope is I have some kiddos in high school that love to tell me when I stop by and visit, I want to be a police officer one day, and I'm like, I won't hold you to that. So maybe there'll be ones that, if you guys pay for it, I can do that. So.
Okay. So, go ahead, Mary, I'm sorry.
So the position, is that going to be a full-time new position that the person would also be a police officer, or?
So you can't be a police officer in the state of Ohio until you've secured your certification and passed all your state requirements. So it is a new position, but it's a position that feeds into a current position. So this position would be hired as, they would not be a sworn officer, that's what the state of Ohio considers you, until they've passed all their training, received all their certifications. Once that's happened, they would be sworn in by the Village of Yellow Springs, effectively moving from police recruit to sworn police officer.
Okay, I think I was misunderstanding this. I thought that you were going to have a position of someone whose job it was to recruit officers.
No, that's my job.
It's like an entryway
Recruit.
position to move into being a.
That's right.
officer.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
That's right.
Gavin, you have questions?
Yeah. So, Paige, do you have, is there some sort of like a rubric, or how would you choose, who would be, who would get how would you find somebody, and then how would you screen them or choose before sponsoring them? Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So the process for hiring a police recruit would go exactly as it would for if I were hiring a police officer, because that's what they will be if they pass all their certifications. So it begins with application process. Well, it begins really with the recruitment. So I'm going to go out and speak to active academy classes. I'm going to establish stronger relationships with the commanders at all of our local academies and let them know that we are now participating in this program. And if they have cadets who they feel would be strong and would be a good fit for Yellow Yellow Springs, they can send them my way. So from the point of application, it leads into an interview where I sit down. That's my first interaction with them. Typically, that interview does include other folks in the department. Florence Randolph has participated in several interviews before, other first-line supervisors, sometimes even non-police officers. When I was hired in here, we did civilians. I believe Karen McKee was in my interview process when I first came here. So, so we go through the interview process. If after that process I feel like you are eligible to move on to the next step, then the next step would be our background. And that's a very comprehensive background packet that includes everything from drug history, medical history, financial history, social media, you name it, so that we can adequately screen you to make sure there is nothing in your background that would impact your ability to become an effective police officer. Then the step after that would be a polygraph examination, which is necessary to essentially take all what we found in the background packet and then confirm that you were telling the truth about said items in said background packet. So that's confirmed through a polygraph examination. If everything goes well there, then you would receive a conditional offer of employment, and that would be conditional based on psychological evaluation, where we send you to a certified psychiatrist to evaluate your mental state, so to speak, and then a drug screen and of course, in this circumstance, the additional conditions would be passing the state exam and passing the academy, and then becoming a police officer from there. So, pretty extensive process. Hence why I'm kind of wanting to move quickly, because by the time I get through all of these things, it'll line up effectively with when these guys are new classes are beginning, and the current classes will be getting close to graduating. So,
Okay.
Who does our psych evals?
So right now we go with basically who has availability is the answer, because they are so backed up, it's unbelievable.
Sure.
Our most recent one was Dom and Associates, if you're familiar, Germantown, Ohio. We've gone as far out as Columbus. We have prior to me, we have done some locally with oh my gosh, why is it slipping my
Lay.
Thank you, yes. But not many. I want to say only one or two through them. So everyone is incredibly backed up. So we just call around and say who's got the closest availability, because it takes, the report alone takes 2 weeks from the time of the exam. So.
Okay.
One thing that I would like to ask is like the Light Up Navajo, to be able to get Paige into schools. I know we're coming back with a resolution or an ordinance for this, but we'd like to give her a sense of consensus on, is this something the council will support, so she can start doing the groundwork now and start making contact with the training centers.
You stole my thunder.
Sorry. Gosh almighty.
But no, I appreciate that. Yeah, no. That's a good supervisor. He's
right,
looking out for you. He's looking out for you. So yeah, I was just waiting for other questions. Thank you very much, Johnny, for all. Once we are done with questions, to get a read, because I understand, Paige, your process was to come here, get a feel for this, so you can go ahead and start moving some numbers around.
Right.
And then maybe coming back.
Correct.
So we can-
Well, and on last Thursday, we all indicated that we were supportive, so.
Okay. So, that being the case, we are supportive of it.
Super.
By consensus, it sounds. So,
All right.
go get them.
Super. Appreciate you guys.
All right.
Thanks for your support.
Sure.
Keep you
Absolutely.
posted along the way.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Chief.
All righty. It is approaching that hour. This being our second meeting of the month, are there any board or commission report highlights that anyone wants to bring to the table? Hearing, yep,
Yeah.
yes? Okay.
I have
That's
two.
gonna make it quick.
One involves the Environmental Commission. I included a report that Catherine Zimmerman wrote about the request to have part of the prairie at the glass farm burned and instead of mowed, and to alternate burning half and mowing half. And I wanted to bring it, EC is recommending that this be done. I wanted to bring it to council and just check with Johnny if that, if there seem to be any problems about that.
I don't have a problem with it as long as the fire departments don't have a problem with it.
So Marion, I did see where you said we're calling Altman weighed in, but has Denny,
This was done before Denny.
before the change, okay. Okay, gotcha, yeah.
So, I mean, we can go back and work with Denny, but.
Okay. What other steps need to happen to make it official in terms of us burning up a portion of the facility?
Then he needs, I mean, the fire department needs to be on board.
Correct. They do the same thing for
Yeah.
Moore's-Bean.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Okay, so we'll coordinate with Denny and Johnny, and then I think the fire department contacts the neighbors. At any rate,
That's-
we will ensure that the neighbors are contacted.
Yeah, I thought I read that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, to me, like, this would be an issue where if staff's good with it, an environmental commission and the fire department are good with it, then I don't know that council needs to make a decision about it, so.
I just wanted to bring it to
Yeah,
council and
yeah.
make sure people are comfortable.
And hopefully, nothing happens to where we need to be able to answer questions.
So the other, I wanted to just let people know that the mediation program had a training. Janet Mueller, who is a Yellow Springs resident and a member of the village mediation and also works at the Dayton mediation, she did the training. It was great. I participated, as did Lawrence. We have now 8 new volunteer mediators. One of the people was a high school student. We had a student from Central State. It was, it was like 2 8-hour days and 2 3-hour days, so long training. And it was very good, and I think the mediation program will be well served now with more mediators.
Okay. Good.
All right, I just want to make a couple of comments based on what I read from commission. So first of all, I love the idea of people paying something to participate in community gardens, which was highlighted, so I hope that's being explored. I also think related to this like mission around like local food, when I saw some of the stuff around like, you know, some kind of like major crop or whatever, I guess I just want to make sure that, you know, we're really looking at like the, you know, what the mission and deliverables are. So.
The garden thing is still in the works.
Okay.
So I can,
Okay.
we can report on that when there's more.
Sounds good. The other thing I wanted to mention, and, you know, Gavin was there or whatever, but, and I'm sorry that, Riley left, but I want to underscore that I think Susan Stiles was definitely correct in elevating the fact that we have our commission members, and Judy, I hope everyone's up to date in signing their, you know, roles and responsibilities documents, that there needs to be clarity about what role somebody's playing. And so, you know, it's fine for Riley to say that he wants to give context, but I think it's important, you know, in that particular case to say, I'm there as a citizen. That's something that commission members have been really good about in the past. I know that's where Scott was coming from in that particular case, and I appreciated that, Carmen, you invited him. Like, I mean, community members can, you know, be involved.
Can I have some clarity about what's happening?
There was a lot of discussion at that last meeting about that.
Planning commission.
Planning
Yeah,
commission.
I wasn't at planning commission meeting.
Right.
I'm the alternate.
No, I know.
Gavin was probably there, so.
And but it was detailed in the minutes, because Susan Stiles like highlighted that she just wanted to make sure people clarified what, you know, whether they were doing something in their role as a commission member or as a citizen. And so I just wanted to underscore that I think it was appropriate that she brought that up.
Right, but
So-
just really to clarify on why I asked about it, it's because you mentioned my name and I wasn't there. I wasn't at the meeting.
Oh, but it was the meeting that
I looked.
when you guys met with Rick. That's why, like. And so then there was an issue about like how that was reported at the news or whatever. And so.
Oh, I didn't know, I'm sorry, I didn't realize we were still on that.
Well, no, Brian's right. I mean, it's in the minutes. I mean,
Right.
it's a current issue from PC.
Sure.
So, and I think we all have to deal with that from time to time in terms of clarifying, our role, whether we're showing up or writing letters to the editor, if we're private citizens. I mean, you've probably heard me talk about my issues with the Ohio Ethics Commission.
Sure.
You just need to be able to do that separation. And of course, the subject matter from PC, was, we ought to be able to become private citizens when we choose to be. Newspaper feels like, yeah, but they felt the need to provide the context, which is why when I did a letter and didn't say I was a private citizen, they said, oh, by the way, he's also vice president of council, and that letter was about school board issues, blah, blah, blah. So it's a thing where we appear to be crossing lines or blurring lines, and there was a conversation at PC. It wasn't about you. It was just that event that happened that led to these other further discussions.
I'm clear on the delineating line. So we're just mentioning it to make sure that Riley knew or the newspaper knows, or?
It's in the PC minutes.
Okay.
That's where it all.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Brian's highlighting because of where we are on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Cool. Okay. All righty. Future agenda items. I don't know that we generated any here other than second reading.
So we need an ordinance creating the police recruit position, am I correct?
I mean, we'll do the work, and Amy, you sound like not 100%, like.
I believe that's how, that's how.
Okay.
And it will probably come as an emergency so that we don't hold Paige up too severely.
Okay.
It's,
Second reading, of course, we probably have that first. Yep.
and actually, we'll be ready for the budget on that update. I forgot we should be able to read the budget ordinance on the 6th. And flour and sugar.
It doesn't seem like it needs to be the next meeting by any means, but just we're keeping a running list, setting a date for the events applications that are due, and then adding a timeline for review components.
What was the last part?
Timeline for
Just those
review.
two things I brought up earlier, just the timeline for review of applications, and then the relevant deadline is that just the parts that we said we had flushed out that we need to.
Okay.
I think I'd also like to add some kind of update about the gas aggregation. So I'm starting to wonder if we picked the wrong organization for that.
I actually saw Philip from SOPEC at the VIII Greene luncheon, and he said he hoped that he'd get something this week, and they're still waiting on. He said, I don't remember the names of who they're dealing with, but he said they have very little incentive to provide the information because they're going to be losing people. So that's what he said is the issue.
In the manager's report, that was an actual email from Philip, and they're having a problem with CenterPoint releasing the data. They have not the proper software to give them all the
So is
actual
Riverside
information.
having the same problem?
Yes.
Everybody is.
Okay.
We're not in the seat alone on this.
All right.
They would release it, and then it was encrypted or something, and then they
it was
release
not
it
right.
again, something
Correct.
else was wrong, and
So it's not a
they're 20 years behind.
And Washington Courthouse is having the same issue.
Okay.
Okay.
Should we contact DCO or who's
That's who I said I saw
Who's the regulatory authority for the...
Oh, Kuka. Yes, he did, he mentioned about contacting them.
And I think they're going to be doing that, Gavin, if they can't get the correct information.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess just let them know, I think we would all be, if there's some way that we can help elevate it, we would
Okay.
happy to do that.
Yep.
Sure will.
Good idea. All right, any other future agenda items that won't sort of come by natural order of events?
Well, we're going to have lots of budget stuff, so.
Yeah, indeed. All right, hearing no other information relative to the business, I will entertain an order to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and thank you, everyone, for your contributions, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Brian?